When I was at school, I became obsessed with studying. Then I picked up my first self-improvement book at the age of 16, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That gold and navy book became my manual. It was my first taste of learning more about productivity, and it started off a trend in my consumption habits. I began to buy more and more self-improvement books. I found YouTube, and I quickly subscribed to study and productivity YouTube channels like Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank, and Matt Diavella. I definitely feel like the advice I get from their videos helps me, not only by the practical tips which actually make me productive, but even the simple act of watching their videos makes me feel more put together, even though I know they'd class it as procrastination. I'm not alone. Between the 3 of them, these YouTubers have 6 million followers, and if we look at their most popular videos, they include habits like waking up before 6 AM, how to learn faster, how to rank first at Cambridge University, becoming a productivity master, how to study when you have no motivation, and productive desk setups. They have audiences who really value productivity. And let's forget their channels for a moment. You only have to look at the content we consume on a day-to-day basis to realize how much productivity is ingrained into our culture. So by consuming this content on YouTube and all of the other self-improvement content I was consuming, it meant that I would come home from a whole day of being a dentist and I would feel like I had to do something. And if I didn't, I felt like I had failed. If I woke up any later than 7 AM, including on the weekends, I would feel really guilty about it. I would feel like I'd wasted my entire day. If I procrastinated during the day, I would beat myself up over it. And if I didn't accomplish my to-dos, then I would feel so bad about myself. So the interesting thing is, for anyone who comes across my channel and watches my videos like my slow morning routine, they think that I'm really calm and zen. And I find that so interesting because I still see myself as a neurotic arsehole. Because truthfully, I had to overcome a really massive problem of mine, which is toxic productivity. And here's the thing, my problem with toxic productivity had nothing to do with the content that I was consuming. It was to do with my own lack of awareness when I was consuming this content. And now that I know that, here's what I've really learned from Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank, and Matt Diavella. The process is more important than the outcome. So the problem with productivity is that it focuses on outputs and inputs. So it focuses on getting from A to B as quickly as possible. But life isn't like that. As soon as you reach a goal, there's always so many other goals that you can set for yourself. And that means that living your life thinking about A to B's can be so tiring, because it's like you finish a race and when you get to that end of the race, you see another race that you then have to complete. You're constantly seeing new ends in sight. So even though Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank, and Matt Diavella all talk about making things more efficient and maybe doing things more efficiently, they've all at some point expressed how important it is to actually enjoy what you're doing.
You'll find the reward in the work itself.
My whole mantra throughout life is that, this thing of journey before destination, this thing that, yes, goals are like whatever, but what's more important than setting and achieving ambitious goals, what's more important than that is enjoying the journey and enjoying the process of doing them.
The other problem with focusing so much on outcomes and outputs is that you feel inadequate with where you are. And that's sometimes what the issue with self-improvement content can be, is that when you're constantly trying to improve yourself, sometimes it can send that message that the way that you are now is not enough. So ultimately, I've learned that through the journey of productivity and self-improvement, it's still really important to enjoy and appreciate who or where you are in this present moment.
If we think about it more like yin and yang, as like apparently Eastern philosophers and Eastern thinkers would think about it, it's like on the one hand, you've got self-improvement, on the other hand, you've got self-acceptance, and the two can coexist in harmony, and it's really just about navigating a balance of the two rather than trying to solve the equation and come to the bottom of it all.
One of the other major problems that I had whenever I was consuming productivity content is that I thought that I had to be busy all of the time, but I got that completely wrong. It's not about being busy and just filling my time for the sake of feeling like I'm busy. It's about being intentional with my time. I've learned that I really have to understand why I'm doing something.
If you're not clear on exactly why you're doing something, if you hadn't set your intentions from the beginning, it can lead to some very big problems and things can get out of hand.
So when thinking about goals or what outcomes you want to achieve, they have to make sense for you and they won't always align with what you see on social media.
We actually don't have to think about them in that way. A goal of having a peaceful life or having an empty calendar or it's just like completely legit to have as a goal.
I know for me personally, social media has definitely made me feel like I need to be really successful before the age of 30. I feel really rushed to accomplish as much as I can, as soon as I can.
I sometimes find that my work-life balance starts to tip way too far into the work territory. And when my work burner starts to burn too brightly, I've noticed that it's often a result of me feeling a sort of pressure to be successful as quickly as possible. And if you feel this same pressure, it's worth asking yourself this question: why are you in a hurry? Or what exactly is causing you to feel the need to compress your timetable for success? In other words, it's useful to identify the external sources of pressure that push you to work harder.
What I've definitely learned is that there's no rush. I don't have to rush to achieve my goals. I can slow it down and achieve things at my own pace. And something else that I've realized is that we're all so different, so that means that our routines will be different. I see so many YouTube videos about waking up before 5 a.m. in order to be successful, but we can't all wake up at 5 a.m.
When I hear that somebody wakes up at 5 a.m. every single day without fail, I can't help but think that this person is a productivity god. They must have their life so organized, their priorities set. They must know something that I don't. And yeah, while it might be an indication of discipline, it almost certainly is an indication of discipline. For the most part, the only thing you can tell about this person's life with that knowledge is that they wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. Personally, by experimenting with that routine, I found that it wasn't for me. The rigid structure not only prevented me from getting a full night's sleep, it often forced me to sacrifice time with my family, friends, and activities past 8 p.m.
Now when I watch Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank, and Matt D'Avella, I realize that productivity isn't actually achievable all of the time. We're not robots. And by thinking that we can be productive all of the time, it sets unnecessary pressure on us. It makes us have really high standards for ourselves, which we can never meet. And because of that, we'll always feel so guilty for not doing more. And that's the whole crux of toxic productivity.
Let's just go through this to-do list to see what we got done here. I'm gonna move this Your Podcast to Wednesday. Film daily vlog, check, did that. This is literally probably the most accurate day in the life that I possibly could have put together. I hope that it shows you guys just how messy life gets, even for somebody like myself who knows a lot about productivity and habits and building effective routines. You never really know what you're gonna get into. You're always gonna be terrible at predicting how much you can get done in a day. That's just part of the process.
Now I know it's really weird for me to talk about not being productive whilst I'm talking about 3 productive YouTubers, but we have to remember that this is what their content is about. It doesn't mean that they're spending every waking second of their day being productive. Just in the same way that if we were watching a fitness YouTuber, it's not like they're at the gym every second of the day working out. We're seeing very specific videos and very specific insights about their lives.
It's impossible to read one sentence and fully understand a book, but that's often what we do when we take advice from others, and it's something that I do as well.
And when you watch these 3 YouTubers, you realize just how human they actually are.
I'm feeling super unproductive and can't be bothered to do anything useful. And I feel like my eyes are closing and I didn't get enough sleep overnight. The question is, what do we do now? I could power through and try and actually do some work, but I think I'm gonna take advantage of the write-off principle, which is something that I came up with a few months ago. The idea is that if you're feeling like you're in an unproductive slump like I am right now, then you just write the rest of the day off and then you can kind of do fun stuff. I've been watching Friends with Sheen for the last half an hour and I still need to write 1,350 words today to do my 2,000 words. But I just can't really be bothered because it's 11 o'clock and I want to find out what happens between Phoebe and Ursula now that Ursula is dating Joey, and because I haven't seen that episode yet. And so I might just allow it, you know? What's the point of setting these arbitrary, all these goals? These goals are fairly arbitrary anyway, right? Like, 2,000 words a day. Who cares? Wasteman.
Truthfully, I don't even think taking any time off is unproductive. I actually think it's good for us. I think it's necessary. But also, I think that taking time off contributes to creativity and it actually helps with doing meaningful work. So technically that time off is productive anyway.
One thing that a lot of people start losing as they get older is this unstructured time where they can tinker and explore. And this is something that has happened to me for sure in the past few years. I actually read an article in QZ just the other day saying that doctors are now prescribing play for children because parents are in this mad dash to overschedule their kids' lives. They got them signed up for school and music lessons and sports and all kinds of stuff, to the point where there's never any moment where the kid can just go outside and do whatever they want.
What I find really interesting is that even though these are 3 productivity YouTubers, they've all at some point touched on the topic of burnout.
Whether you're being driven by ambition or your schedule is being filled by someone else, burnout is the moment everything gives. And it's more common than you might think.
In 2019, I went through a period of true burnout. I was creatively exhausted. I started to take a very cynical approach to how I looked at my work and how I looked at my life in some cases. And it was different than any year before that. I've definitely gone through stressful periods before, but this year, around May, maybe April, I got to a point where things just were not good. I was looking very negatively towards my work, and part of the reason was that I sort of felt trapped by the work that I had built for myself. And it was kind of funny because nobody was telling me to do what I was doing. Everything that I do on a daily basis is something that I decided to do since I run my own business, and yet I felt like there wasn't a way out.
A big part of, at least for me, this kind of verge of burnout, if we want to call it burnout, a big part of this was just ignoring my emotional state and pushing through and doing stuff even though I wasn't feeling like it.
We need to make time for things like sleeping well, eating well, even doing simple things like a skincare routine, and having time to socialize with other people. I've learned how important boundaries are. So whether that's boundaries with your own time and dictating things like cutoff points for doing things like work, or even having boundaries with other people and learning to say no.
I really can't say yes to everything.
On day 6, you're going to hate yourself because you're not going to hit your goal. And that's okay, because sleep is more important, and mindfulness is more important, and relaxation is more important, and not burning out is more important.
And even though these 3 YouTubers have spoken about healthy habits so that we can lead healthier lives, I think it also goes beyond that, because those healthy habits still have healthy rewards and outcomes attached to them. What I've learned is that not everything we do has to have an outcome attached to it. We can just do things for the sake of it.
And then we are going to go to the beach. Got to do it.
Time for it.
Priorities.
That's so cool.
These seem like pointless activities that have no outcome attached to them, but they're just for fun. They're what make us human. Ultimately, and maybe ironically, the most important lesson that I've learned from these 3 YouTubers is that productivity isn't everything. There's more to life than things like work, money, and success.
I was spending so much time on the pursuit of happiness that I was completely neglecting all the things that I already had that could have been making me happy. I had a supportive family. I had a passion for filmmaking. I had a roof over my head. Even though I was in debt, I still had food on the table every single day. And those are the things that I should have been focusing on. I should have been grateful for the things I had instead of longing for the things that I didn't have.
What's the point of listening to 65 business podcasts about how to make my business grow if I'm not putting even a modicum of effort into my personal relationships, which are really the thing that is going to lead to long-lasting happiness? And so now what I'm trying to do is reshape my information diet so that it reflects more of what my priorities in life actually are, or what my priorities in life I would like to be.
There are very few natural sources of pressure that will push you to live a more balanced life and to do the things that truly make you happy, which means that you have to create those pressures for yourself. And one great way to do this is to simply list out the things that really do make you happy. Get in the habit of looking at it and reminding yourself that the items on that list are what truly make you happy, not the pursuit of some external measure of success.
The productivity content that we're consuming these days has really contributed to this hustle culture, this idea that we have to be really busy, have a 5 a.m. lifestyle, and fill every second of our day with something productive. What we need to remember is that that's not what this content should be doing. It's us as a society which has taken this content way too far and almost misinterpreted it. We need to remember what the true meaning of productivity actually is, and that's to be able to be more efficient so that we can make more time for what matters. We need to remember that we don't need to obsess about outcomes, that doing nothing at all is completely fine, that boundaries are so important, and that our self-worth isn't attached to how productive we are. So yes, productivity is great and all, but if there's anything that you should learn from Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank, and Matt Diabella, it's to keep perspective. I'm definitely on the path of being just as much of a waste man as Ali and enjoying as much of my time as possible. So stay intentional and go create some magic.